It started with a dare. My best friend destroyed my life at a party. They called me Sophie Bug. They laughed as I sank. What they didn't know was that I wasn't drowning. I was learning how to swim in the dark. My name is Sophia, and for most of my life, I was invisible. Like a piece of furniture you walk past every single day, but never really notice. I was the quiet girl in the library, the one with the good grades and the kind smile that asked for nothing. My world was small and safe, built from the pages of my books, the love of my mom, my dog Buster's loyal companionship, and my one true friend, Chloe. Chloe was my opposite. Where I was quiet, she was loud. Where I liked corners, she loved the spotlight. We had been best friends since we were little kids, glued together by shared secrets and a mutual fear of gym class. She was my bridge to the world, and I was her safe harbor. But as we got older, high school changed the currents. Chloe wanted more than our quiet world. She wanted the bright, noisy center of everything. She wanted the popularity, the parties, the attention. I watched her change, her laughter growing louder around certain people, her clothes shifting to match a different crowd. Our cozy movie nights were replaced by her stories of parties I was never invited to. Then, one Thursday in October, she got the golden ticket. An invitation to Blake Hamilton's legendary Halloween party. Blake Hamilton. Just saying his name felt like speaking of a king. His family was the richest in town. He was the star quarterback, handsome in a sharp, cold way, and he ruled our high school. His approval could make you, and his scorn could break you. Chloe was vibrating with excitement. She begged me to go with her. "Please, Sophia, I can't go alone. We'll stay together just for 1 hour, just to see it." My entire soul screamed no. Every instinct told me it was a bad idea. But I saw the desperate hope in her eyes and the unspoken threat. If I said no, she would go without me, and the fragile thread of our friendship would snap. So, against my better judgment, I said yes. The party was at the Hamilton Mansion on the hill, a palace of glass and stone glowing with orange and purple lights. The bass from the music hit me in the chest before we even opened the front door. Inside, it was another planet. A sea of moving bodies, shouts and laughter swallowed by the pounding music. The air was thick and warm, smelling of sugar, sweat, and beer. I wanted to turn and run immediately. But Chloe came alive. She grabbed my hand and pulled me into the current. We got bright red drinks in plastic cups and stood by a wall, 2 islands in a storm of noise. Chloe scanned the room like an explorer, her eyes wide. I tried to make myself smaller, to disappear into the paint. For a little while, we were just part of the background. Then, he appeared. Blake Hamilton moved through the crowd like a prince, people parting for him, hands reaching out to touch him. His eyes found Chloe, and a slow, interested smile spread across his face. He came over, his friends flanking him. "Chloe, right? You came." His voice was smooth as ice. Chloe lit up from within. She introduced me, but his gaze slid over me for less than a second. It was a look that said I was nothing. Furniture. His focus was all on Chloe. He led us to the heart of the party, a giant living room where a huge TV screen was set up for a digital truth or dare game. A circle of people sat around it, screaming with laughter. Blake pushed Chloe into the circle. She laughed, a little nervous, a little thrilled. I hung back, outside the ring of light, a ghost at the feast. Chloe got a turn quickly. She picked truth and told a funny story about tripping in the cafeteria. Everyone laughed with her. She was good at this. She was shining. I felt a lonely pang. She was in her new world, and I was lost in the dark. A few rounds later, it was her turn again. Truth. A new question flashed on the screen. "What's the most embarrassing secret your best friend has?" The room erupted in a chorus of oohs and cheers. My blood turned to ice in my veins. I froze. Chloe's bright smile faltered. Her eyes searched the crowd and found mine. We locked eyes. My face was a silent, desperate plea. "Please, Chloe, no, don't do this." I saw the war in her eyes. For one beautiful, heartbreaking second, I saw my old friend. The girl who knew my deepest secrets were sacred. She knew about my dad's special nickname for me, Sophie Bug, a name I hadn't heard since he died. She knew about my paralyzing fear of deep water after a childhood accident at the lake. She knew I still kept the little stuffed bee he gave me on my bedside table. She knew about the time I'd accidentally walked out of a store with a lip gloss in 7th grade and cried for hours from guilt. But then she looked away from me. She looked at Blake. He was leaning forward, a challenging, encouraging grin on his face. The crowd began to chant, "Tell, tell, tell." Chloe took a long gulp from her cup. She looked back at the crowd and her eyes were different. They were the eyes of someone who wanted to belong more than she wanted to be good. Okay, so my best friend Sophia, and she began to talk. She didn't tell one secret, she told them all. She used a silly baby voice to reveal my dad's nickname, Sophie Bug, and made our childhood bug-collecting adventures sound pathetic and stupid. She acted out my fear of water with dramatic, flailing arms, and everyone howled with laughter. She mentioned the shoplifted lip gloss, painting me as a clumsy, failed criminal. Each confession was a tiny knife, expertly twisted in my heart. The crowd laughed harder with each one. I could feel their eyes on me, their fingers pointing. My cheeks burned with a fire of pure shame. Tears pressed hot against the back of my eyes, but I refused to let them fall. I was no longer invisible. I was a target, a joke. Blake's eyes, gleaming with cruel delight, found me in the crowd. He saw my devastation, and it was like a gift to him. "Wow, okay," he yelled, silencing the room. "Chloe's spilling the tea. But let's hear from the source. Sophia, get in here." "Your turn." A path cleared through the crowd. Every face turned toward me. Chloe waved me over, her face flushed from the attention. "Come on, Soph, it's just a game." My feet were blocks of cement. I couldn't move. Blake strode over, his smile wide and terrible. He grabbed my arm. His grip was too tight, it hurt. "Don't be a party pooper, Sophie Bug," he whispered, his voice a mocking sing-song just for me. Hearing my father's tender name in his cruel mouth was the worst violation of all. It felt like he was spitting on my dad's memory. He pulled me to the center of the circle and shoved the game controller into my shaking hand. The words truth or dare burned on the screen. My voice was a dry leaf. Dare, I couldn't pick truth, they already knew everything. Blake's face lit up with evil joy. He took the microphone. "A dare? I love it." He made a big show of thinking, tapping his chin. The crowd held its breath. "I've got it. I dare you to go upstairs to my parents' bathroom, put on the first swimsuit you find, and then come jump into the pool." The room exploded. It was a masterpiece of cruelty. He had taken Chloe's betrayal, my deepest fear, and turned it into a public execution. "No," I whispered. "I can't swim." "Then you'd better learn fast." He laughed. "Rules are rules. You do the dare, or you admit you're the boring, pathetic loser everyone thinks you are, and you leave and never come back." The choice was unthinkable. Humiliation or social death. Chloe was just watching, her mouth slightly open, like she was entertained. Trembling so hard my teeth chattered, I turned and walked toward the staircase. The laughter and the cruel chant followed me. "Sophie Bug, Sophie Bug." The walk upstairs felt like a mile. I found the huge, cold master bathroom. My hands shook as I opened drawers. I found a bright pink string bikini. It was tiny and flashy, everything I was not. Changing into, it was the most degrading thing I had ever done. I looked at my reflection. A pale, terrified girl swimming in a suit meant for someone else's life. I wrapped a towel around myself and walked back down. The crowd had moved to the giant indoor pool room. It was hot and steamy and loud. Everyone was there, phones held high, waiting for the show. When I walked in, a huge, roaring cheer went up. Whistles and catcalls pierced the air. I stood at the deep end. The water was a dark, shimmering blue, seeming to go down forever. My childhood terror wrapped around my throat like a hand, squeezing. I couldn't breathe. I remembered the lake, the water filling my nose, the panic, the sinking. Jump, jump, jump. The chant began, led by Blake, a king commanding his subjects. I looked at Chloe. She was chanting too, her face bright and excited, part of the crowd. That sight broke the last piece of my heart. I closed my eyes, took a gasping, useless breath, and jumped. The cold was a shock. Then the old, familiar panic took over completely. My body locked. My arms and legs wouldn't work. I sank, the bright party lights above becoming blurry golden circles. Water rushed into my nose and mouth. I was drowning. Then strong hands grabbed me. They hauled me up, and I broke the surface, choking and gagging, water streaming from my face. It was Marcus, a quiet boy from my chemistry class. He pulled me to the edge, his face set in a grim, angry line. He didn't say a word, just helped me out and shoved a towel into my hands, turning his back to shield me from the crowd. No one else moved to help. They were too busy watching the replay on their phones, laughing, slapping Blake on the back. Chloe was now standing right beside Blake, not even looking at me. I didn't wait. I ran. The towel around me, the pink bikini underneath, I ran out of the house, across the cold, wet grass, and into the dark night. I called my mom from a street corner, sobbing so hard I couldn't form words. She came, her face a storm of worry and fury. I didn't tell her everything in the car. I just cried. The next week at school was a new, deeper hell. The video was everywhere. I was a meme. Sophie Bug's pool fail. People whispered as I walked by. Blake and his friends made gurgling sounds when I passed. Chloe tried to talk to me once in the hallway. Sophia, you're overreacting. It was just a stupid game. You need to learn to laugh at yourself. I looked at her. I looked right into the eyes of the girl I had told all my secrets to, the girl I had trusted with my whole heart. You are dead to me, I said, my voice flat and cold as stone. I walked away. And something inside me broke, but not into pieces. It broke like ice on a lake, cracking and reforming into something new, something hard and solid and cold. A deep, quiet coldness settled in my chest. The tears were gone. The hot shame was still there, but it was freezing, turning into a core of pure, focused intent. This was not over. They had written my story as a joke, but I was going to be the author of the final chapter. Revenge, I decided, is not a fire. It is an ice age. It is slow, patient, and it changes the landscape forever. I would not scream. I would become the silence after the scream, a silence so deep it would swallow them whole. I became a ghost, but this ghost was watching, listening, learning. I used my invisibility like a superpower. Who pays attention to the quiet girl in the library corner? No one, so I sat there and I studied. I wasn't reading novels. I was studying them. I taught myself things, how to find information people thought was hidden. I listened to conversations, noting names and dates. I watched social media, seeing patterns. I became a collector of secrets, and Blake's world was full of them. I learned about Blake's father. His company, Hamilton Builders, had a shiny website but a rotten core. I found old newspaper articles, buried in online archives, about a lawsuit. A family claimed their new house, built by Hamilton, had a faulty foundation that led to mold, making their child sick. The case was settled quietly, hushed up with money, but the court records were still there if you knew where to look. I learned about Blake's mother. Her perfect, smiling photos at charity events hid a different habit. She took monthly trips to a city with a famous casino. Blake had once left his email open on a school computer, bragging about his parents' credit limit. I saw the statements. Large, regular withdrawals from the Golden Nugget Casino. Thousands of dollars. I learned about Jake, Blake's right-hand man. He had a sweet girlfriend named Lily. But on his Instagram, which he thought was private, he followed a girl named Maya. Maya was Lily's cousin. Their messages, which I could see because Jake used the school's terrible public Wi-Fi for everything, were not friendly. They were full of pictures and plans they shouldn't have been making. I learned about Aiden, another one of their group. He talked big about waiting for acceptance letters from top colleges. But I found scanned rejection letters in a cloud folder he'd foolishly left linked to his school project. He was hiding them from his strict, demanding father. I learned about the systems around me. The school's security cameras didn't cover the blind spot by the principal's office window. The password for the school's announcement system, where they put up birthday messages and club news, was just the year the school was founded. The company that owned the giant digital billboard in the town square had a website where you could upload ad images. Their login password was the name of the company. I stored all of this away like weapons in an armory. I waited. I let the school year roll on. I let them feel safe, victorious. Let them forget about the girl in the pink bikini. Blake was crowned homecoming king. Chloe was now his constant companion, laughing at the center of every group. They were on top of the world, looking down on everyone else. Their biggest night was the senior spring formal, a fancy dance at a downtown hotel. Afterward, Blake had rented the entire penthouse suite for the ultimate after-party. It was supposed to be the glorious, unforgettable end of their high school reign. It was the night I ended it. I didn't go to the dance. I was home in my quiet room. My laptop was open, its screen glowing in the dark. On it were multiple windows. The school server login page. The billboard company's upload portal. A dozen fake social media profiles I had created over months. A direct link to the local news tip line. My heart was not pounding. It was beating a slow, steady, determined rhythm. My hands were completely still. This was not a moment of panic. It was a moment of execution. At exactly 10:30, when the dance was at its peak, the music loud, the laughter bright, I logged into the school system. The password, orchestrating94, worked on the first try. I accessed the main server. With a few clicks, I took control of every smart screen and monitor in the building. The giant screen in the gym where people were dancing. The screens in the hallways. The one in the principal's office. On every single screen, the music video flickered and died. The screens went black for a heartbeat. Then, simple white text appeared on a pure black background. A message to Oak Ridge High. Subject, the real faces of your royals. Then, like a quiet, unstoppable slideshow, the evidence began. First, a scanned legal document about the Hamilton lawsuit. The family's name, the words faulty foundation and mold infestation highlighted in yellow. Right next to it, a photo Blake had posted on social media. Him leaning against a shiny new sports car. New wheels, thanks Dad, blessed. Second, a list of credit card charges. Golden Nugget Casino, $2,500. Golden Nugget Casino, $3,000. The cardholder's name was clear. Eleanor Hamilton. Third, text message screenshots. Jake's phone, Maya's name. The messages were clear, the pictures unmistakable. The dates were from the past few weeks. Fourth, scanned letters, official university headers. We regret to inform you, addressed to Aiden. Not one letter, 3 of them. The slideshow repeated. Silently, there was no dramatic music, no loud voice accusing. Just cold, hard, undeniable proof displayed for the entire school to see. In the gym, the music scratched to a stop. A confused murmur swelled, then broke into shouts. I watched through a hijacked security camera feed. I saw Blake's face morph from confusion to red, blotchy rage. He was screaming at the DJ, turn it off. But it was on every screen. I saw Chloe's hands fly to her mouth, her eyes wide with horror. I saw Lily, Jake's girlfriend, see the texts on the giant screen above the dance floor. Her face crumpled. She turned to Jake and slapped him, hard, the sound a sharp crack in the sudden quiet. She screamed, tearing the corsage from her wrist and throwing it at him before running out, sobbing. Chaos erupted. While the school was in an uproar, I launched the next wave. With a series of clicks, I sent the same package of information from my anonymous accounts. I sent it to every email address at the local newspaper and the local TV news station. I sent it to the entire Parent-Teacher Association email list. I sent it to the admissions offices of the colleges Blake, Aiden, and Jake had applied to. I sent it to every business partner email listed on the Hamilton Builders website. Finally, I logged into the billboard company's site. I uploaded a new image. At 10:40 p.m., the giant digital billboard over the town square, which usually showed ads for pizza and new apartments, changed. In huge, blazing red letters, it flashed. Hamilton Builders. Building DREAMS or hiding SECRETS? Willow Creek lawsuit. Ask Blake. Below it, in a scrolling ticker, it showed the casino withdrawals. Eleanor Hamilton at Golden Nugget. 2,500. 3,000. Cars on the street below slowed. People pointed. Within minutes, the local news station, which had just received my tip, sent a camera crew to film the billboard live. It was the lead story on the 11 o'clock news. The after-party at the penthouse was poisoned before it began. The guests arrived not with cheers, but with their phones buzzing like angry hornets. Parents were calling, screaming. News alerts flashed. The billboard was already all over Snapchat and Instagram. Blake's phone rang. It was his father. Even from across the luxurious room, people could hear the roar of fury through the phone. Blake's face went sheet white. Then his mother called, her voice a hysterical sob through the speaker. Aiden's phone rang. His father. Is it true? You lied to me. Aiden crumpled into a designer chair, holding his head in his hands. Jake stood alone in a corner, his cheek still red from Lily's slap, completely ignored. And Chloe. She fluttered around like a wounded bird, trying to soothe Blake, trying to get people to dance, trying desperately to save the sinking ship. It's just a prank, guys. Someone's jealous. That's when I sent my final, personal touch. to every single person at that party, to Chloe's family, to her old friends from middle school that she had dropped when she climbed the social ladder. I sent one file, a video. It was the original pool video, but I had edited it. I added subtitles, not of the crowd's laughter, but of real text messages. Messages I had found saved on Chloe's old laptop, which she'd left logged in at the school library months ago and forgotten about. As the video showed her betraying my secrets to the laughing crowd, the subtitles showed her texts. To Blake, the day before the Halloween party. I'll get my shy friend Sophia to come. She's so awkward, it'll be hilarious. As the video showed her laughing by the pool edge. To a popular girl named Sarah, a week after the party. I know, I was kinda mean to Sophia, but she was always holding me back. She's so boring. As the video showed me being pulled from the water, choking and crying. To Blake, just this afternoon, tonight's gonna be perfect, finally where I belong. With you, the effect was instant and total. The whispers in the room shifted. They were no longer just about Blake's family, they were about Chloe. The look she got changed from pity to pure disgust. People physically stepped away from her. Sarah, the girl she'd texted, spoke first, her voice loud and clear with contempt. You said that about her. She was your best friend since you were a kid. That's sick. Chloe's face completely collapsed. It was just jokes. Blake, drowning in the ruins of his own life, turned on her. All his fury and fear found a perfect target. This is your fault. He screamed, spit flying from his mouth. If you hadn't been so desperate to be cool and brought that pathetic little mouse to my party, none of this would have happened. You're bad luck, get away from me. He shoved her hard. She stumbled back against a wall, her expensive dress twisting, her eyes wide with shock and a dawning, terrible understanding. Everyone stared. No one moved to help her. The girl who had spent 2 years clawing her way to the center of everything was now alone in a spotlight of absolute shame. One by one, people turned their backs, gathering their things and leaving the ruined party. Soon, it was just her, standing alone amid the glittering debris and half-empty cups, the silence louder than any music. The fallout was nuclear. Blake's father's business collapsed. Old clients left. New contracts vanished. The lawsuit became front-page news again. Blake's acceptance to a fancy college was revoked. His parents' marriage, strained by scandal and debt, broke apart in a very public, nasty divorce. The Hamilton name was mud. Jake and Lily were finished. He was shunned. Aiden's father pulled his funding, and he ended up working in his father's accounting firm instead of going to school. And Chloe, she was utterly alone. The popular group wanted nothing to do with the snake. Her old friends could not forgive the betrayal they'd seen in those texts. She ate lunch alone. She walked the halls alone, her head down. People didn't bully her. They simply acted as if she wasn't there. She had achieved the ultimate irony. She had become truly, profoundly invisible. The very thing she had been so desperate to avoid. I finished high school quietly at the very top of my class. I received a full scholarship to a university on the other side of the country for my grades and an essay I wrote about resilience. Marcus, the boy who had pulled me from the pool, started sitting with me at lunch. We became real friends. He was the only one from that time I allowed myself to remember. The night before I left Oak Ridge for good, I went to the community pool. I stood and looked at the water, blue and calm under the floodlights. The old fear was there, a tiny, whispering ghost in my stomach, but it had no power over me. I had faced a deeper, darker water and I had survived. I had learned to swim in the shadows and it had made me strong. I saw Chloe then. She was sitting on a bench in the park across the street, just staring at nothing. She looked thin, hollowed out. She saw me. Our eyes met across the distance. There was no hate in my heart anymore. Just a quiet, empty space where our friendship had once lived. She looked away first, pulling her coat tight as if she were cold. I didn't feel happy. I felt finished. The cold ball of ice in my chest had melted, leaving behind a calm, steady warmth. The balance was restored. I hadn't just gotten revenge. I had taken back my story, my voice, and my future. They had tried to write me as a pathetic joke. I had rewritten myself as the author, the one in control. I turned and walked away from the pool, from the town, from the ghost of the girl I used to be. I did not look back. The university was a different universe. A place of ancient brick and buzzing new ideas 1,000 miles from Oak Ridge. Here, no one knew me as Sophie Bug or the girl from the viral video. I was just Sophia, a freshman with a quiet smile and a sharp mind. My roommate, Lena, was an artist from Chicago who painted her dreams on our dorm walls and talked with her hands. She loved my quiet nature, she said. It balanced her chaos. We became true friends, the kind built on shared pizza and honest late-night talks, not on secrets used as currency. Marcus was at a different school, but we stayed in touch. He sent me pictures of his engineering projects. I sent him photos of the grand campus library. It was easy, it was simple. For the first time, I was free. I joined a book club. I aced my classes. I even, with Lena's endless, cheerful encouragement, signed up for a beginner's swimming class. The first time I stood at the pool's edge in a plain, black one-piece, my heart hammered against my ribs. The instructor, a kind older woman, saw my fear. "Just put your face in the water today, honey." That's all I did. And I didn't drown. It was a small, private victory that felt enormous. I was building a life. A good one. The revenge was complete, and I believed the story was over. Then, in the spring of my freshman year, I saw her. It was in a crowded off-campus coffee shop, the kind everyone used during finals week. I was buried in a history book when the door chimed. A group of loud, familiar-looking guys walked in. My blood didn't run cold, but it did slow. They weren't from Oak Ridge, but they were the same type. Confident, loud, dressed in expensive casual wear. Blake Hamilton would have recognized them as brothers, and trailing behind them, looking worn and trying too hard, was Chloe. She was laughing at a joke that wasn't funny, touching the arm of the lead guy. She was performing just like before. A hollow pit opened in my stomach. She hadn't learned. She had just found a new stage. Our eyes met across the shop. The fake smile vanished from her face, replaced by shock, then panic. She looked away quickly, hunching her shoulders. But the guy she was with, a tall guy with a smug grin named Drew, followed her gaze. "Well, hello." His voice cut through the coffee shop noise. "Chloe, you know this quiet little mouse in the corner?" Chloe stammered. "And no, I don't think so." Drew swaggered over to my table. He leaned down, invading my space. "You look familiar." "You from around here?" I looked up from my book, my face a calm mask. I had faced down Blake. "This guy was nothing. I'm studying." "Ooh, serious," he mocked. His friends chuckled. Chloe hovered, looking desperate. "What's your name?" "Sophia." Something flickered in his eyes. Had she talked about me, or was I just a new toy? "Sophia." "Pretty, you should come hang out. Big party at our house tomorrow. Chloe can vouch." He jerked a thumb at her. Chloe's voice was thin. "Drew, come on, let's just go." "Sure," I said, my voice quiet but clear. "What's the address?" He looked surprised, then thrilled. He scribbled on a napkin and slid it to me. "Be there after 10. Don't be late, mouse." They left in a cloud of noise. Chloe didn't look back. Lena slid into the seat opposite me. Who was the jerk? And the scared girl? Someone from my past, I said, folding the napkin. And she's not scared of him. She's scared of me. I didn't go to the party for revenge. That was done. I went to see, to understand, and to make sure whatever was starting ended before it could touch my new life. The party was a cheap copy of Blake's. Same noise, same smell. I wore simple clothes. I was an observer. Chloe was there, playing the same old part, but the spark was gone. Her laugh was forced. She saw me and spilled her drink. Drew saw me and grinned. The mouse came. "Let's get you a drink." "No, thank you," I said. "Don't be rude," he said, grabbing my wrist. His grip was tight. "Let go of me." "Or what?" A new voice, sharp and commanding, cut in. She said, "Let go, Drew. Are you deaf or just stupid?" It was a girl with purple hair and fierce green eyes. She stood beside me, solid as a rock. Drew dropped my wrist, scowling. "Stay out of it, Riley." "I will when you stop being a creep at my brother's house," Riley shot back. She looked at me. "You okay?" I nodded. "I'm fine. Thank you." Riley looked from me to Chloe. "You with her?" "No, not anymore." Riley nodded, understanding. "Come on. This party's dead. Let's get air." On the porch, Riley told me she was the sister of the guy who lived there. A computer science major. She saw through everything. Drew's a loser. That girl, Chloe, follows him around like a lost puppy. "It's pathetic. She used to be different," I said. "Or maybe I just didn't see her." "People show you who they are," Riley said simply. "You just have to believe them the first time." We talked for an hour. She was smart, direct, and funny. I had found another real friend. As I left, Chloe intercepted me at the door, desperate. Sophia, please, you have to leave, you can't be here. Why? Are you afraid I'll ruin this for you too? Tears filled her eyes. You blew up my whole life. No, Chloe, you did that all by yourself. I just turned on the lights so everyone could see. I'm sorry, for the party, for everything. I was stupid and scared. I believed she was sorry. But it was a sorry for the consequences, not for the act. It was years too late. Your apology is for you, not for me, I said, my voice quiet and final. Keep it. Build a better life. A real one, not this. But do it far away from me. I walked out into the night. I felt tired, resolved I would not be pulled back in. A week later, Riley found me at the library. So, Drew and his crew are in a world of hurt. Oh, yeah. Someone sent the athletic department a file. Plagiarized papers, nasty messages about female athletes, all anonymous. Investigation launched. Scholarships on the line, funny timing. I met her gaze. Very funny, Riley grinned. I knew I liked you. You're not a mouse, you're an owl. Quiet, sees everything in the dark and has sharp talons. With Lena and Riley, my life became full. The past was a closed book. The final whisper from the past came the summer after my sophomore year. I was home for a weekend. A tired, rumpled man approached me in a grocery store parking lot. Sophia Miller? Yes, I'm Robert Hamilton, Blake's father. The name was a shock. He looked old, defeated, a shell of the powerful man from the newspapers. I need to talk to you. Please. We sat in a diner. He didn't make excuses. What happened to my family was a long time coming. We were living a lie. I taught my son that image was everything. But what you did, that was the match. I stayed silent. I'm not here to blame you, he said, his hands shaking around his coffee cup. I'm here because I've lost everything. My business, my marriage, my son. Blake is angry, bitter. He blames the world. He especially blames a girl named Sophia. I'm trying to get him help before he destroys himself completely. I'm begging you, if you have any more plans, let it be over. He was a broken king, begging the ghost he'd helped create for mercy. I have no more plans, Mr. Hamilton, I said, my voice gentle but firm. I have a life to live. What you and Blake do with your ruin is not my business. The balance is settled. For me, it's over. The relief on his face was profound. He nodded, tears in his eyes, and left. Sitting there, I felt the last of the coldness melt away. It was truly done. Not with a bang, but with the quiet plea of a broken man and my own simple declaration. It's over. Years later, I am someone new. I am a librarian at a university, surrounded by stories that are not my own. I have a peaceful apartment with big windows and a rescue dog named Captain. Marcus is a happy engineer. Riley is a cybersecurity expert. Lena is a famous graphic novelist. She dedicated her first book to Sophia, The Quiet Storm. My life is full of a quiet, deep joy. Sometimes, the past whispers. I see a news snippet about a small-time developer named Blake Hamilton facing fraud charges. I see a social media post from an old acquaintance. A picture of Chloe at a baby shower in a small town, smiling a tired, ordinary smile. I feel nothing but a distant hope that she found peace. I never had a dramatic romance. I found something better, a profound and lasting peace. I am known and loved by the people I choose. Last weekend, I went to the pool. It was sunny. Children laughed. I walked to the deep end, my plain suit comfortable. I thought of the pink bikini. The chance, the cold plan, the silence, the peace. Then I dove in. The water was cool and welcoming. I swam the length of the pool and back, strong and sure. A little girl near the steps looked up at me. You're a really good swimmer. I smiled, a real, warm, unguarded smile. Thank you. I learned that it's never too late, and that the water isn't something to be afraid of. It can hold you up if you let it. I walked away, the sun warm on my skin. That night, I sat on my balcony. Captain slept at my feet. I opened a journal, a gift from Riley. I didn't write about revenge. I wrote about the stillness after the storm. They say living well is the best revenge. It's true. But not because you show off your happiness. It's because you become free. So free that the people who hurt you become small, distant memories, too far away to cast a shadow on your son. The girl in the pink bikini is not me. She is a chapter, a painful, necessary lesson. I do not hate her, I thank her. She was strong enough to survive, and from that survival I was built. My story is not about a party or a payback. It is about a simple choice, faced in the deepest water, to sink or to swim. I chose to swim, and in doing so, I discovered entire oceans within myself, vast and calm and full of light. My name is Sophia. I was once a girl they tried to drown in laughter and fear, but I learned to swim. I learned to navigate the darkest currents, and I reached a shore of my own making, solid and sure and quiet. The story they wrote for me was a tragedy. The story I wrote is one of quiet strength, and it is a far, far better tale. I am seen by those who matter. I am at peace. And my story, finally, is my own.